Welcome to WLOY, Loyola Radio, streaming online at WLOY.org and Canvas TV channel 111.1. You're listening to After the Whistle, Loyola's premier sports talk radio show, airing every Monday from 3 to 4 p.m., every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. Welcome into our last show of the semester, believe it or not. I'm your host today, Jeffrey Bazzi, alongside my co-host, Jimmy Cody. Jimmy, how are things?
Good. We got another great sports weekend. Like the Bahamas Bowl is going on right now, so I'm sure everybody's pumped about that. I was barely able to sleep last night at the thought of it, but another great sports weekend. We got Saturday NFL football, we got Sunday NFL football per usual, and also too, I finally got some good news with the Yankees signing Carlos Rodon, so I'm very happy. And I don't know, not much else to say besides that. Jeff, how about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Like you said, there's just a lot going on right now, whether it's just a lot of sports games on, finals going on for us here, and there's just a lot to keep track of. But yeah, that Rodon signing, that was definitely a big move.
Yeah, that was a big move. And also, really quickly, I want to give a shout out to the Doomers for capturing the competitive intramural championship. It was a great game the other day.
Very well earned.
Yeah, well earned. Great job by the Doomers, the Doom crew. Good job getting the W.
Yeah, they really put it on from start to finish. I thought they came out great in the beginning, and they just held the lead and they did their thing.
Yeah, the Doomers, you know what they did really well? Pass. They actually had
They were moving it
They
around
were
a
moving the
lot.
ball. They were moving the rock. I thought they didn't really set up for that many shots, like bad shots. They did a good job getting to the basket too. Also, great effort on the boards. I think that was really why they won.
Yeah, they really used their size and strength to defeat the Here He Comes team, which was the golf team. But
And also
yeah, it was a good game.
shout out to Eddie Ronayne laying the dunk.
Yeah, what a play by Eddie Ronayne to go behind the back with the dribble and then throw down a two-handed slam. It's really the electric play of the night. But yeah, great all-around job by the Doomers. They really came together and they finally reached the mountaintop. They got a title.
Yeah, and we'll have two of the Doomers on today, not to discuss dooming, but to discuss the sports world. Like some giant Jet fans. You can probably guess who they are when they come on. But anyway, without further ado, let's just jump right into it, Jeffrey. Let's talk about last night's game. So we had the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Seattle Seahawks. In Seattle, it was a division matchup, and the 49ers were able to come away with it. They won 21-13. And I'm interested to hear what you thought about this game.
Yeah, I thought early on San Francisco, especially on the defensive side, they really put their foot down. I just thought Seattle couldn't really do anything on offense. And part of it was, I feel like Seattle really wanted to run the ball early, and they just really couldn't. And coming into the game, Seattle was one of the worst rushing offenses in the league, at least per carry. I think they were around 3 yards carry, and San Francisco was only averaging giving up 3 yards per carry, which was one of the top stats in the league for rush defense. And it just felt like San Francisco really came out and did a good job there. And even their pass D, San Francisco's was really good. I felt like Metcalf and Lockett didn't really get going early on in the game. Metcalf got going a little bit in the end of the first quarter and into the early part of the second quarter, but I don't know. I just felt like San Francisco came out and they really asserted themselves early. And while the final score was only an 8-point game, I felt like it just felt a little bit more than that. I don't know. I just felt like Seattle didn't really pose a serious threat of winning because they had some chances where they got down to the red zone, and even just beyond the red zone, they set up for a field goal and they had a turnover. That fumble at the end of the first half was a killer. I thought that was kind of the turning point in the sense that I don't even know if
that
Seattle
was the
win that
difference,
game.
right?
Yeah,
It was a one possession game, and that ultimately that touchdown is kind of what sealed the deal. Seattle shot themselves in the foot.
yeah, and then once again, we got to bring up Brock Purdy because he just continues to fill in for Jimmy G and do his thing. I thought last night was kind of his first big test because it was his first road game, prime time, under the lights, divisional game. We'll see what he's made of. And I thought he answered the bell pretty good. I didn't think he was great, but I think he was good enough where they ended up winning.
You know what the thing is about Brock Purdy? He makes the timely throws. He does not, when the situation is like you need a first down, he finds guys. That 2nd and 6 that they had, the pass to Tyler Kroft, was a beautiful job. It was great because the way he's athletic, like we saw him run on that 3rd and 1 play at the end, but his kind of athletic. Listen, he's not athletic like Lamar Jackson, but he's maybe kind of athletic, like more like a Daniel Jones, where it's like it gives him a chance to kind of make things happen. And it's just an extra element to the offense that I think the 49ers, they can use that to their advantage. Like, listen, another thing that they have too, which nobody really talks about, they have a great O-line, like an outstanding offensive line. And it's really easy to play quarterback and throw 2 touchdowns, no matter who you are, when you have one of the best O-lines in the game. This kid he had 1 sack last night. He really hasn't been under pressure, I thought, that much. But when he is, I think he does a good job. I also too, he does not turn the ball over. He makes smart decisions, and that's another thing that you don't usually get from young quarterbacks, especially ones who are Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, you would think this guy's been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years, but he's just a rookie. He's only played what, 3 games, not even 3 games, maybe 2.5 or whatever it is. But he just looks very polished. And I'm glad you brought up the O line for the Niners. And I thought that in the trenches, the Seahawks just had no chance because their D line didn't really put pressure on Brock Purdy. And then I would flip it to the other side too. I thought Geno Smith was under pressure a lot.
Oh
And
yeah, oh
that
yeah.
49ers D line, I mean, it's really good, but the Seattle O line just did not hold up. It's
No, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If there's pressure, it's going to be really difficult for them to. We saw Mahomes in the Super Bowl not even be able to overcome it. It's tough.
Yeah, it's a really important part of the offense is to make sure that your QB is protected. And Seattle did not do a good job of that last time.
Also, you know what else the 49ers have been doing over this recent stretch that a lot of other teams, I feel like, get away from? And we've talked about this throughout the season. We've specifically mentioned this with another team, the Bengals. I mean, they run the ball to perfection.
I was
mean,
gonna say,
they
yeah.
just do such a good job of like mixing it up, especially when you know that they're gonna run. Like you think that they're gonna run, they pass. When you think that they're probably gonna do a run, they run it right at you and then they're successful. It's such a confusing thing because even when you know it's coming, you can't stop it.
Right. And I think the other key too coming in was Deebo Samuel was injured. And I'm not saying that he's their only threat on the outside. They still have Kittle and Ayuk, but they feel like they made more of a stress to give the ball to McCaffrey. I thought early on McCaffrey was running all over the place. I think
He
that
also
was a
had
good sign.
6 catches out of the backfield.
Right, they got him involved in the passing game, which is great. We know what he can do as a receiver. He's one of the better receiving running backs in the league. I just thought they were using him really well last night.
I agree.
And they kind of had to.
I agree. And you know who also was really effective last night, who kind of has been quiet this season? George Kittle. George Kittle had a really nice game.
I thought that touchdown play was beautifully designed.
Yeah,
I thought Purdy with the little fake and he was kind of looking around and then he found Kittle right over the middle. That was a beautiful play, isn't it?
Yeah, he had 4 catches, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's a good game.
Yeah, that's very efficient. Kind of waiting for that kind of game from Kittle. I feel like we haven't gotten many of those.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
season.
We've definitely been waiting for those games. Anything else you want to add? Obviously, San Francisco locks up a playoff spot.
They win the
They
NFC
win
West.
the NFC
Yeah.
West, which I mean, I think if you would have asked people if San Francisco would have won the NFC West, there would have been a lot of people who say yes. But I don't think they would have expected it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it myself. I did not pick them to win the West. I thought the Rams were going to win it again, but we've seen how bad of a season they had. But
Yeah,
San Francisco has a really good roster, top to bottom. You just didn't know if they could really turn it on because sometimes they turn it on, they look like the best team in the league. There's other times where they don't, and they don't look very good. But a lot of that also has to do with Kyle Shanahan because we know how good of an offensive mastermind he is. But like you always say, sometimes he sometimes finds a way to make things interesting at the end. So I do think they're a team that is going to be a tough team to beat come January, though.
yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. Just because they can run the ball, they have a good O line, they have a good defense, they have, I want to believe, a good coach, but I'm glad you brought that up because let's talk about that for a second. I mean, that 3rd and 1 that we're lucky Purdy was able to slide and get the ball actually pass because that was a horrible 3rd and 1 play call. I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care if it's Brock Purdy, Patrick Mahomes, whoever that is. That is a terrible play call to have them roll out to the short side of the field when you are at 3rd and 1 and clearly need to run the ball. Listen, it's 3rd and 1. Like, just QB sneak it. Just like do something else that's like not like the pass to the short side. I don't think was a good play call at all. And Seattle was ready for it too. That was the worst part. They're
Yeah.
just lucky that Purdy was literally just faster than the one defender who was there.
And I think the other underrated part of that play too was the fact that Purdy held out the ball to get the first.
Oh, it was all Purdy. It was nothing that anybody
His
else did.
slide was, I think, just late enough where he was probably going to be fine. Because sometimes they stop the play when the slide's too early. Because that's how they rule you down. I think when
Well,
you start your slide,
behind the line, yeah.
right? I think that because he held the ball out over the plane, I think that's the reason why he got the first.
That's it. That is exactly it. Yeah.
It's a very high IQ play that I think should not go unnoticed. But I agree. I think that was all Purdy and Shanahan and the coaching staff got a little lucky there.
Yeah, they definitely got lucky.
But yeah, we talk about the NFC West in general. You bring up San Francisco. I'll just talk about Seattle. They've had a pretty good year. I didn't think a lot of people expected much from them, but they were what 6-3, and now they're 7-7, so they're reeling a little bit. And they have some tough games. They go to Kansas City next week on Saturday, so good luck with that. And they also have the
Seahawks,
Jets too. The Jets are not a pushover. They'll have them at home the following week, and then I think they have the Rams again. So they're gonna probably have to win. I guess all three. They can maybe get lucky and win two of the three and get
You
the
could
wild
probably
card.
get- You could probably get 2 or 3 and probably have a chance.
But yeah,
'Cause-
they just need to win because they're reeling.
Don't the Giants play the Eagles again?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And the Giants also go to Minnesota
But
next week,
you
and they
know-
play the Commanders.
and you know
Sunday.
who else is lurking? The Lions.
Yeah, the Lions are looking. They play the Jets. We'll talk about that in a little bit
Yeah,
too.
we will talk about that in a little bit. Let's go run through the Saturday games really quickly because there's a lot that I want to talk about. But this game first, I feel like it's the worst game of maybe the three, but Colts Vikings in Minnesota. Minnesota's a 3.5 point favorite. Really quickly, Jeff. I mean, I think we're all expecting a Vikings victory here, but the Vikings need to start playing a little bit better because, as we talked about last week, it seems like they were very excited to win the division when they're talking about their hats and T-shirts, specifically Kirk Cousins. I'm looking at you. But this is a team that they're so much better than in the Colts. The Colts are just not a great team. But what do you want to see at the Vikings really quickly here before they move on to the playoffs?
So yeah, I would kind of expect the offense to kind of do its thing, put up a good amount of points. I mean, we know that they can do that, especially with Justin Jefferson, who's one of the best offensive players in the game. He could be the best wide receiver in the game. And I expect Cousins to do his thing, play pretty well. I'm looking at the defense. I think this is a game where they can kind of get back to doing good things because they haven't really done any good things on defense this year. But I don't know if there's a team where they could maybe force a turnover or two and get some sacks and just, I don't know, get some life in that defense. I think the Colts are an offense that doesn't really scare a lot of people. So I think this is a chance for them to kind of gain some confidence.
Yeah, I agree. Defense is kind of needs to be the focus for the Vikings here. They need to make sure that they're able to stop the run because obviously Jonathan Taylor will be there. He's a good running back. The Colts O-line has been up and down this year, but they do have some good players on there. And they're certainly a lot better in the trenches than I believe the Vikings are, that's for sure. So, let's see what the Vikings defense does against an offense that's not great. Because if they're not good here, there's some real concern.
Oh, for sure. I think this is a game that the Vikings should win, but I don't know. We've seen them have these weirdly close games. So I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out a lot about them tomorrow. All right, and then we got another game tomorrow concerning our local team here in Baltimore. The Ravens are going to Cleveland to take on Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Cleveland 5-8 on the season. Baltimore 9-4. Baltimore luckily going to get Tyler Huntley back though this week.
Yeah, that's huge because I'm sure they did not want to go to their third stringer. I think his name was Anthony Brown.
Yep, Anthony Brown.
So it's definitely somewhat of a slight luxury that they still have Huntley and that he's actually healthy enough to play. So that's huge for them. And I think this game's going to be very close because I think
Cleveland's a good team at home. A lot better of a team at home.
Yeah, and additionally, I was just going to bring up, I think they're playing okay, Cleveland, right now. I know they haven't won a lot of games this year, but I feel like they're a team that can kind of play with anyone because they do have a pretty good roster. And I think
They
I don't
should
know.
be with it.
Deshaun Watson's 2 games back now. So I feel like he's starting to get his legs under him a little bit and try to
This is also his
get
first
some
home.
momentum going. Yeah, so the crowd will definitely be riled up for that.
Last time they were at home, they beat the Bucks. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, though. There is something about playing in Cleveland. I feel like
they definitely
it's a
they
tougher
do
place
so
to
much
play
better.
than you would think. I feel like they're not really viewed as a huge home crowd, but
That no,
They
it's
come out and
It's been
support.
like that for a couple of years. I don't know what it is. It's been like I don't want to say since like the Baker Mayfield era, but like since that since the Browns organization has improved a little bit.
yeah, since I don't know the
They've
0
been a better
16
team at
year,
home.
I
And
feel like they
Cleveland's
just
actually favored in this game too.
they are.
3 points.
That's a little bit of a eye popper.
Listen, Cleveland could win out, go 9-8, and maybe have a chance going forward. So
that's the game they gotta have.
This is a game they got.
And so with for the Ravens, they gotta have this
Yeah, the
game because
Ravens
the
have-
Bengals are right on their tail.
You're absolutely right, Jeff. The Ravens have got to win this game because the Bengals are playing the Bucks this weekend. We already know the Bucks are trash. Like there's no other way to say it. Like yeah, they have Tom Brady, but that team is just not good. And the way it looks like the Bengals are going to keep winning, and it's going to be setting up for that matchup at the end of the year. That's probably what's going to determine that division.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So the Ravens need this one because they can't afford one against the Browns.
Oh, for sure.
All right, so we got Dolphins Bills. Dolphins are 8-5. They looked horrible on Sunday against the Chargers, and they're going up to Buffalo where Jeff it might snow.
Yeah, I think it's 9 inches in the forecast.
Yeah, not great.
Not good news if you're a Miami Dolphins fan.
And not good for a team that does not run the ball, strongly enough. Like they have had good games, and I don't really have a problem with the way they run the ball, but they don't do it nearly as effective as the other team does.
No. And-
Specifically with its quarterback. And that's
Right.
where let me clarify that for a second. Josh Allen in the snow is going to be miserable to try and bring down. I could just see him just running all over the field and just making it miserable for the Miami
I
defense.
100% agree. Now, can the Dolphins keep up? I think they can. I think the offense is the one thing that has propelled them to this 8-5 record, but I don't know. The last 2 weeks they haven't really looked like themselves, and I don't know. It's a tough week for the defense. You go up against the San Francisco offense the one week, and Purdy comes in and slings it all around, and then next week they go to LA and Herbert slings it all over them again, and then now you got to go into the snow with Josh Allen on the other side. So good luck.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell me who I'd rather have in this game, I'll certainly take Josh Allen, just because I know that, listen, he already runs to begin with, so it's not really a concern. And if I remember correct, okay, so no, he's not their leading rusher, but there's been plenty of games this season where he has been leading rusher. Listen, the Miami defense has to improve if this team's gonna have a chance. And also, Tua has to improve. That was a really bad last game. That was the worst game I saw him play, I think, all year.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring that up too. I just don't know if this is the week to do it because if the snow does happen, if it does snow the 9 inches or even somewhere close to that, it's gonna be tough to throw the ball. And I definitely think Tua should have a better game than last week. But the thing is, how many attempts is he gonna have? I don't know what they're gonna do on offense because you kind of have to change your game plan because I don't know what the
What
weather
also
is gonna be
depends
like.
on, is it gonna be currently snowing as it's coming down, or is there just gonna be snow in Buffalo? Because, sometimes they push it off the field and then it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's snowing there today or if it's gonna snow there tomorrow because the game is at night. So
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
either-
also snow is so unpredictable. I mean, sometimes you think you're getting 8 inches and you get nothing.
right, or you get nothing, you get like 5. Like,
Yeah.
it's so up in the air. It's so I don't know, up and down. You don't really know what you're gonna get, but I don't know if it snows today or tomorrow and they try to clear off a little bit of it. Maybe that'll make somewhat of a difference. But either way, it's gonna be tough to play because it's gonna be a night game in Buffalo in December. It's gonna be cold. We know that. Now, whether it snows or not, we'll have to see. But it sounds like it will, and I feel like that's just a whole different ball game. I just feel like that's a big advantage to the Bills.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I definitely think that that's an advantage for the Bills. And listen, we'll have to see what happens with this Dolphins offense, but they're definitely gonna have to improve. All right, Jeff, I want to move on to another topic. We have the Jets facing off against the Lions this week, and I also want to welcome in Bobby McGinnis to the show. Bobby, how you doing today?
Pretty good, Jimmy. How's it going, Jimmy and Jeffrey?
We're doing pretty well, Bobby. Yeah, congrats on the Doomers championship once again. Very well deserved. We brought it up at the beginning of the show, but once again, congrats. A huge feat for all of you.
I appreciate it, Jeffrey. It's definitely something that I wanted to do before graduating.
Yeah, congrats. From some ex-intramural champions to a current one. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know you guys have been running interviews for a while.
No. I don't run anything, so I'm just another guy at this school. That's all I am. So I also wanted to really quickly, Bob's birthday was last night, so we'll give him an after the whistle birthday shout out. Happy birthday, Bob.
Yeah, happy birthday. Big 22.
Bob, unfortunately, the day after your birthday, you got some bad news. Zach Wilson is going to be starting this weekend for the Jets instead of Mike White. So I'll just let the floor be yours.
Yeah, Jim. Waking up. I can't even say this morning because I did wake up in the afternoon. Waking up to see that news, that was kind of tough because just the energy around Mike White. He gets hurt twice last game, comes back onto the field. I mean, this dude is. I understand he's playing for a career. But he's literally keeping it all out on the field. And, the team rallies around that, the fans rally around it. And now it's like Zach Wilson, there's bad taste in everyone's mouth when you hear his name because the way he failed to take ownership of his actions. And, he lost not only the team, but he lost the entire fan base. So now, what, do I got to pull my Zach Wilson jersey out of the trash? Probably.
Well, here's the question I have for you. What if he plays well?
I know. I was saying the same thing. I guess that's what I want still. I can't root against him. We did take him number 2 overall 2 years ago. This is only his second season. I guess the dream scenario is he plays amazing and somehow kind of revives his career. And hopefully the whole being mentioned was a wake up call. I mean, because the talent's there. We all know that. It's the lack of accountability that's been the real problem.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I look at it the same way. I just look at him as a young developing quarterback who hasn't shown enough on a team that, let's be honest, around him looks like they're ready to win now. And he just simply is not up to that level of play. That's kind of how I look at him now. I don't know if I would say he's talented though. I don't know, Bob. There's been some rough games he's had. Like the turnovers are really, I think, the problem. And Mike White just looks so much better than him in the offense. It's not even close.
Mike White plays the game a lot more simple, and that's what Zach failed to learn how to do. He wanted to be Patrick Mahomes.
Don't we all?
Yeah, but it would have been fine if he was just a game manager, kind of like I mean, I know he's hurt now, but Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, look what Brock Purdy's doing in San Francisco. You know, he has a great defense, a lot of weapons around him. Similar to the Jets, great defense, a lot of weapons, and he does a good job at taking care of the football.
Yeah, that's true though. But you know what else Brock Purdy has? He has an outstanding offensive line, and he also has way better coaching, specifically on offense.
I mean,
and he also has better skill players around him. I mean, McCaffrey, Debo, and Kittle, and Ayuk. No offense, I know Debo's hurt, but he's going to be back before the regular season ends. That's a lot better of a combination than Zonovan Knight. No offense, Garrett Wilson's your best receiver, but after that, I feel like it really falls off.
I mean, Zonovan Knight won Rookie of the Week this past week, and he's honestly looks really good. I mean, the Jets, I'm just looking for sneak peeks of next year. I mean, if Breece Hall comes back the way that he was running, having him, Michael Carter, James Robinson, and Van Noy, I mean, we're very deep in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that somebody gets cut out of all those or traded, right? I mean, it's definitely possible. I mean, James Robinson looks like damaged goods since he showed up for the Jets.
I guess. I mean, they haven't used him because if he hits 250 yards, then they owe him a 5th round pick instead of a 6th round pick. So I think they've been kind of holding it back. But he's also a restricted free agent, so I would assume we bring him back for cheap, but you never have.
All right, that's a good point. Jeffrey, really quickly, what are your thoughts about the Jets-Lions game this week? Let's get into the actual game itself, because the Lions have a very good offense. There's no secret about that. A lot of playmakers that they have over there with Goff and Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, so you bring up all those guys in the Lions offense, and you're right. They have a lot of playmakers, and we know that they can put up points, but I also know that the Jets D has been pretty good this year. So I feel like there is some hope there that the Jets D, even with Zach Wilson starting, because we know that not a lot of people are happy about that, but he has to start because Mike White's injured. But I feel like the defense can help hold up its end of the job, because I feel like they can give Wilson and the offense a chance to kind of do their thing and put up enough points where they can win. But I was going to ask Bob, what do you think the key is for Wilson? Because we know that the last time he was out there, I believe in Foxborough, he put up 77 passing yards. And obviously it was not a great showing and it led to his benching. But what do you want to see from him? Do you want to see him limit the Wilson?
Yeah, it's definitely turnovers. I think that's the easiest answer there because, you know, I'll go as far as say Super Bowl caliber defense. And the reason why we're not winning games is because of the turnovers, right? And or the lack of productivity on offense. I mean, yeah, you also brought up another good point, Jeff. You said spread the ball more. Whenever Zach Wilson was playing, Elijah Moore did not see the football. Not sure why. Then Mike White comes back and Elijah Moore scores his first touchdown. And I don't know. He's got to get everyone involved, like you said. This offense has to click. I don't know. I'm not too nervous about this game though. I think at home, after coming off 2 losses, I really like the Jets in this spot.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Why? Here's the thing though. The Lions are hot right now, Bob. I mean, they just beat the Vikings, who you guys lost to.
Right, so they're due for a letdown game.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. Maybe the Jets are just due to, I don't want to put it this way, but be the Jets and kind of just lose a game they shouldn't. I mean, if you asked me at the beginning of the season who this would have won this game, I would have probably thought the Jets because they have a way more talented roster, specifically with their defense.
And they're at home too.
Yeah, and they're at home. That is also true. But at the same time, I mean, I feel like the Lions are a team who's been improving throughout the season, similarly to the Jets have. they're like two opposites. Great offense, great defense, but they are both really bad in those areas that they don't like that they struggle with. Like, especially with Zach Wilson in there, I think that this is a game that you should be concerned with. If it was Mike White, I would have a lot more confidence in the Jets.
I don't know. I'm still confident with Zach Wilson. I mean, I truly am. I do think I'm really not nervous. I don't know. Do you think the Lions coming to MetLife and route the Jets?
Oh, I don't think that they're going to rout them. No, I think it's going to be a close game.
Right. I mean, I understand.
Both those teams play close games every week, so I wouldn't really be surprised if either of them won. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes down to like a last-second field goal.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you haven't really watched a winning football team this season, watching all those Denver Broncos.
I watch the Chiefs every week just to make myself feel better. And plus, I get to hear about the Eagles and the Giants and the Jets and all these other successful teams. So I basically watch because I root against them every game.
But at the same token, like the Jets, they did lose their last two games, and right now they're 7-6. It doesn't look as good on paper as it did a couple weeks ago when they were 7-4. But you played the Vikings and you played the Bills, two Super Bowl contenders.
You should have beat the Vikings. Don't put. I know the Vikings beat the Bills, and everybody loved like it was a great game and whatnot, but they are nowhere close in. I believe in terms of talent.
They're 10-3.
They are the worst 10-3 team I've ever seen in my life. The Vikings, their defense is absolutely horrible. The Jets had on a silver platter that game. They had 8 goal line attempts. How do you not get in the end zone? They should have absolutely won that game. I was disappointed, and I don't even want to see the Jets do good at all. I couldn't care less.
I mean, yeah, when you have 7-3 so many times in that game, albeit you kick 5 field goals, and when you fail to punch it in from the 1-yard line, you're not going to win. So that was obviously upsetting. But on the same token, I understand how it happened was upsetting. But if you told me that we were only going to lose by 5 to the Vikings, I would think that's pretty good. Like we were in there with Jimmy. Like I understand that maybe you're not high on the Vikings, but they are definitely probably like the second favorites coming out of NFC this year now.
Probably the third, right? After the 49ers and Eagles, I guess.
You could honestly argue that
Maybe fourth. Oh, fourth. Yeah, the Cowboys. Oh my God, yeah, the Cowboys. Yeah, they're probably the fourth. So they should be. If they're not, that would be a sin. I mean, I would think they are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking at the odds now.
Yeah. So
I think they all have 10 wins besides the Eagles, right?
yeah.
As of now.
Regardless, the Vikings are a good football team. We lost by 5. I understand the way it happened. That's great. And then the next week, in Buffalo, we play a close game and lose by 1 score.
No, that game's not bad at all. I'm not trying to take anything away from you guys because of that game. That was just Buffalo. They beat you guys. Your defense did a good enough job, but you had a chance at the end too. And obviously, we're playing with an injured quarterback. There's a lot more excuses I can make for that game. I really thought the Vikings game was a game that you guys were kind of like peaking, honestly. And I don't know. I thought that game kind of sucked a little energy out of the Jets because I think it was one that if you ask all the guys on that team, it would absolutely have been like, yeah, we should have won. So I'm very surprised that you're saying like how happy you were with the loss. I mean, I know they're a 10-3 team, but I would have been pissed.
For what it is, I mean, we took a goal like 2 weeks ago. I didn't say that the Jets are a great team.
Oh well, I never said that, so don't.
And that was the Lions. I mean, I don't.
Whoa. I think the Lions have been improved a lot too. I think you're taking the Lions a little softly. I mean, they were able to do the unthinkable and beat the amazing 10-win Minnesota Vikings.
Really? Was it that unthinkable? They were favored.
You're the one who's making it seem like beating the Vikings is so impossible, and I honestly disagree with you. I think you're trying to give the Jets like, listen, they're an improved team, but if they're gonna make the playoffs and they're gonna be this good team, they got to beat crummy teams. I'm sorry, crummy teams like the Vikings. They have to be able to beat. I mean, that was one they should have had. And if they got to beat the Lions too, because that's another team that playoff teams beat, right? You would agree with that?
I mean, so the win against the Bills wasn't good earlier this season?
No, that was a great win, but they also should have beat the Vikings and they should beat the Lions this weekend. But if they don't, you're going to be really disappointed if they don't beat the Lions, right?
Of course.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, they got to keep it up. Like, it's not just like you can have one nice win. Oh, the Broncos beat the 49ers this season. Let me have a championship parade float going down. Yay! Like, it's an ongoing thing. Like, they got to bring it every week. And I don't know if the Jets are that consistent yet. That's the point I'm trying to make here.
So you think that they lose to Lions this week?
I truthfully would not be surprised. Now,
Give me your pick.
I'll take the Lions.
See, you take the Lions, you think it's fine. With the Jets season on the line at home, they're losing the Lions. Well, we'll see about that. I don't think you're giving this Jets defense or this Jets team enough credit.
Well, my concern is with the Jet offense. If you want me to be real, completely honest with you, that's the area I'm most concerned, because if they don't score, I truthfully think the Lions are going to be able to put up some points against you guys. I don't know if it's going to be like higher than 24 or 20. Yeah, 24. But can you put up 24?
Because Josh Allen and the Bills can't put up more than 20, but somehow Jared Goff and the Lions are going to come.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to just wait and see when the Jets take the field against the Lions this week.
Yeah, we will.
Well, I'll say this.
Yeah,
This
please.
is a game that the Jets really would love to have, because I'm looking at the other teams they're trying to pass or just get some separation from. You look at the Chargers, they play the Titans. Those are 7-6 teams. I know the Titans are in a different kind of spot because they're winning their division with that record. But if the Jets can get to 8-6, maybe the chips fall their way there, the Titans win. And then you also have the Dolphins, who are 8-5. If the Jets somehow tie them in record, they already have the tiebreaker going into their second head-to-head meeting, I think is at the end of the year. They already have the tiebreaker there. And then I don't know if the Raiders beat the Patriots. There's a lot of things. If they go your way and you win, you could pass like 2 teams, 3 teams there.
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah, it's these next 3, because then we may not be over the years. Things fall in the way. We took some things, but we took place for the front. That being said, I still see that happening to the Chargers schedule and the Patriots. And the Patriots schedule's a little tougher. The Chargers schedule moving forward is very favorable.
Yeah, it's a joke. The Chargers schedule.
It looks like it's going to come down to that game in Miami, and I don't love that. But at the end of the day, if you told me at the beginning of the season that the Jets were playing peaceful game, I'm up for that heartbeat. We know that this Jets team is not ready to win at all. There's still, I think, one more off season away. I think next season I could definitely, expect playoffs and expect maybe a couple playoff wins. But we're not at that point yet. So,
Hold on really quickly though? What do you think is the one area holding them back? I think it's got to be quarterback.
Yeah, it's quarterback. That's the easy thing to say. It's quarterback, and the lack of productivity on offense.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Just going back to the Lions, apparently talking about all points on the Jets defense. Would you say that the Jets defense? I understand. I would agree that the Cowboys are better. Would you say that the Jets aren't far behind?
Far behind who? The Cowboys?
Cowboys defense.
So you're asking me who I'd rather have? Is that what this is? Yeah, I would say it's top 5, yeah.
Top 5.
Probably you could probably say 49ers, Broncos, Jets, Dallas. I don't know, after that maybe there's a lot of teams you can go on. You could go hypothetically maybe Pittsburgh, but there's other teams too.
The Jets are regardless.
Yeah, they're top 5, yeah.
I'm trying to say is the Lions are going to put up 6 points on Dallas Cowboys. I don't see where you're getting 24 that they're going to put up on the Jets, but
I don't know. The Lions have been a new and improved team recently, and this is a big game for both these teams because let's face it, they're both fighting for a playoff spot. So it should be a good one. The Jets have all the opportunities in the world to prove me wrong. And listen, if you guys are able to do what you need to do to make the playoffs, without a doubt, it's a success. But if you guys kind of squander at the opportunity and it ends ugly, you can't tell me that the season was a success, right?
I don't know, Jim. I don't know. Our over-under on the season was 5. And if you spoke to any Jets fan, and I know I told you before the season, the number of wins that I was hoping for was 7. Now, the only condition with that, I also would have included saying that, Zach Wilson looks legit. Unfortunately, I can't say that. So I think at this point, I'd be very happy with, even if we fall just short of class, it would suck, but a 9-win season, 9-8, finish above 500 would be huge. Yeah, so and unfortunately, we can't say that Zach Wilson's the guy or that we have a franchise quarterback. I think that's going to be a question mark heading into the offseason. But at the same token, Joe Douglas just had a historic draft class. We've had 4 different rookies win Rookie of the Week 10 out of the 14 weeks this season. I mean, I understand it's a fan voting award and all that, but these guys are showing out. I mean, between Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, you're looking at two future All Pros. Jermaine Johnson is Brees Hall, who's hurt right now, Bam Knight, I mean Max Mitchell, the list goes on. Michael Clemens. I'm naming guys who have had huge impact on this Jets team. So it's not the veterans that are doing good for the Jets, it's the young guys, and that's what I get excited about.
All right, well, you'll have that to take forward with the Jets. We appreciate you coming on and discussing Jets, even though, let's be honest, I do have a fun time, kind of talking down on the Jets. That's something I enjoy doing. Bob, as always, thank you for coming on. I can't say this any more than I am now, but listen, go Lions. I mean, I am just so pumped for this game. I really actually think the Lions offense is going to surprise you.
Jimmy, look forward to a lot of phone calls and text messages, and try to pick up this time. I don't usually like to ignore me on Sundays, but
That is true. Yes, I do usually ignore you on Sundays.
when the Jets are punishing Breezy Dan Campbell and mediocre Goff, I will love to be in your ear all the time.
All right. Well, listen, maybe we'll get the chance to see that happen. I would look forward to it. I would be happy for my friends to see the Jets, finally maybe do something good, beat the 6 and 7 Lions. I get it. That's a big deal in over in East Rutherford. I'm just no, you're the one who's putting them down. I'm supporting them all the whole time. I've been supporting them the whole day. I picked them to win. I said I'm looking forward to the game on Sunday. I don't know what more you can want. Yeah. Oh, I didn't say you would throw a parade. I know you'll throw a parade, though. Like, I don't even have to mention it. It's a non-discussable thing. Like, I already know that. Listen, Bob, if they lose this game, it's not going to look good for the Jets going forward. That's not even up for debate. Jeff, am I wrong in that? Like, come on, the Jets need this game.
Oh, they do. This game could go either way. I mean, these teams are very even, I think. I think it's key because the Jets could use it for their playoff chances, and so could the Lions. It's just the Jets, I feel like, are more in a tighter race, but so are the Lions. I mean, the Lions have a lot of teams they could try to pass, like the Giants and the Commanders and the Seahawks, but the Lions offense against the Jets defense, I think is the matchup I'm looking for. It's kind of strength on strength. And it's kind of funny because the other matchup, the Jet offense and the Lions defense, is kind of weakness on weakness. So it's kind of like both things cancel each other out. It's going to be kind of fun to watch, though.
Let's just say I'm not worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown.
All right. I guess there's nothing to be worried about then in Jetland. I guess this week will be another easy W for the Jets. I guess, listen, maybe I watch a different Lions team than you do. I have no idea.
There's no such thing as ECW in the NFL.
Well, that's not true. Have you ever played against the Broncos?
We did. And we beat them.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy win. Yeah, easy win for most teams. All right, Bob, thank you as always for coming on. It was an eventful 20 minutes.
I know you guys have to move on here. Something just crossed my mind. Jimmy, where would you rank Russell Wilson in quarterbacks in that division?
I'm not really sure because he has, to be fair, the worst coach in NFL history. I'm ready to just throw this season out the window and act like it never happened. He's got 3 of his top 4 receivers out. I mean,
is he behind Derek Carr?
I don't think Derek Carr's that much better than him. No, I think if you stuck Russell Wilson on the Raiders, they could have a better record.
Is he behind Ripien?
Russell Wilson? No, he's not behind Brett Rippon. No. Stop. Don't even. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous question. I'm hanging up after that because that was the most ridiculous. That was disrespectful. Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl. The Mike White wishes that he has the career Russell Wilson did. Okay? Zach. Good.
Welcome back to WLOI, Loyola Radio, streaming online at WLOI.org and Campus TV channel 111.1. You're listening to After the Whistle with Jeffrey Bazzi and Jimmy Cody. We just heard from Bob McGinnis, who was just on, talking some Lions and Jets. Very lively conversation that we had with him. But now we're going to welcome our second guest into the show, Tom Spallone. Tom, thank you for joining the show.
What's going on, fellas? How are we doing today?
We're doing good, Tom. Better question is going to be, how excited are you for this weekend's Lions-Jets Super Bowl matchup?
Yeah, the 1 week I'm rooting for the Jets. Of course, they have to start the worst quarterback in the league, Zach Wilson, because Mike White wasn't cleared. So I'm not too excited about that because the Giants need a Lions loss this week. But I don't see that happening now with Zach Wilson playing quarterback for the Jets.
Interesting. You should have heard our last caller. So let's not waste time talking about the Jets anymore. Nobody really wants to hear about them. Let's talk about the Giants, the real team in New York, facing off against the Commanders. Spawn, there's no other way to say this. The Giants need this game. They need it bad.
Yeah, and this is basically a playoff game for the Giants this year, and it's a huge game for Daniel Jones. I think this game honestly could decide whether he gets paid or not this offseason by the Giants. They're going to have to win this game. If they win this game, that puts them in great position to be a wild card team in the NFC, especially with Seattle losing again last night. So it's really going to come down to Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones has 0 primetime wins. We know he hasn't gotten helped out a lot, but this is kind of prove himself, and he's got to get it done. There's no excuses on Sunday night.
Yeah, so what part about the Giants would you say kind of concerns you the most? I mean, obviously me and Jeff will give our opinions after about it, but just from your perspective, what are you most concerned about?
Well, there's a couple of things that concern me, especially after watching the game last week against Philly where we absolutely just got slaughtered. I'd start number 1 with our corners. Our corners should basically be driving Uber or DoorDash. Currently, they are just terrible corners. We have McLeod, Fabian Moreau, and just a few rookies that are just not good in the quarterback position, and we're just getting cooked. And our defensive coordinator, with Mardo, runs a man-to-man coverage, so he never goes zone. So we have to man up with our corners, and Noah Dory this week's going to be tough because that means McLeod or Moreau is going to be on McLaurin, and that's not a good matchup for us at all.
Yeah, so that's a good point. You're definitely right about the corner situation. I also agree with you. Your corners probably could be driving for Uber. There's definitely no doubt about that. But the one part that I'm concerned about on your defense, and Jeff, I think you would agree after watching last week. How about stopping the run? You guys did not do a good job of stopping the run against the Eagles at all. I mean, Jeff, I felt like whenever the Eagles wanted to, it didn't matter if it was Hurts, Sanders, they were able to run very easily. Boston Scott, it didn't matter who it was. The Eagles were able to run really easily against the Giants, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. Whether it be up the middle or even to the outside, getting blockers out, I feel like the Giants just struggled in that area. But they also didn't really have, I don't know.
They were missing Leonard Williams, right? Last game.
Yeah, Leonard Williams was out.
I mean, that's a key clog in the middle.
And he'll be back this game. All right, so you're hoping to get Leonard Williams back. All right, so that's a good thing for you guys because obviously they have Brian Robinson, who's been playing pretty well for them at the running back position.
Yeah, no, he's a tough runner. I honestly like him. I think he's gonna be good for Washington in the future. He's already basically overtaken the role for Gibson. So yeah, I'm a little worried about stopping the run because the Giant run D isn't great because our linebackers aren't great. But when Leonard Williams in there, obviously our front 4 is very good. And we stopped the run pretty well last time we played Washington, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm more worried about McLaurin and Curtis Samuel on our corners. We're really big on us.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. I mean, definitely corner is a concern because last week he got absolutely torched by 2 really good receivers. And obviously you're not going up against as good receivers, but it's still a concern that, you have to have because at the end of the day, you have a lot of injuries on your defense and you're going to have to find a way to overcome it. This is a huge game. Jeff, one of the things the Eagles were able to do against the Giants is they shut down Saquon. Like he was not even a factor. So what are some thoughts that you have about how the Giants can maybe, I don't know, improve their offense and, just find a way to get some points up there?
Well, so assuming Saquon's 100% healthy and kind of back to where he is, I feel like they should just feed him and see what he can do. Maybe the first few carries and I don't know, maybe get him out in space, maybe get him involved in the passing game. And I think the other thing that's key for the Giant offense is if Bellinger and James play, I'm talking about Daniel Bellinger, the tight end, Richie James, one of their wide
That's Stallone's
receivers.
favorite player, the tight end, don't you know? Daniel Bellinger.
He's been pretty reliable, I feel like, actually. I mean, jokes aside, I feel like he hasn't been that bad. I feel like he's a guy you can go to maybe on a key third down where you
He's
can
also
kind of
not a
get
bad
open.
blocker either.
I feel like he's just a pretty solid player. And you can say we don't know about Richie James because there's been a game or two where he's had mistakes, but I feel like he's shown up, I don't know, more often than not. I feel like he's a guy that maybe you can give the ball to maybe a few times. If those two guys play, I mean, that gives Daniel Jones some options.
I mean, another option for Daniel Jones. I mean, they have that guy Kenny Galladay. I mean, I know they signed him to a real big contract. Be nice if maybe he could do something. What do you think, Spillane?
I don't see that at all just for the season. I mean, he's been getting like no snaps. He's terrible. I don't want to hear Kenny Galladay's name to be fair. I gotta go.
Okay, all
The
right.
banned word on this show.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to speech, please. Spallone does not want to hear Kenny Galladay's name on after the whistle. All right. You know what else the Giants need to do? And I think this is a big advantage that they're going to have, and they have to do this because listen, they got to leave it all on the field. Daniel Jones has to be a part of the run game because that's when the offense is most effective. I mean, I think you would agree with that, Jeff. I see you nodding your head. Spallone, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I like when they run the read option because it makes it a lot tougher on the defense because you have to account for the quarterback running. So I definitely agree. I know you guys were just talking about Saquon. I mean, Saquon can say he's 100% all he wants, but I know he's definitely not 100%. It's week 15, and any running back that's played every game up to week 15 is so banged up at this point. So I mean, I'm hoping he can push through, but he looks like he's definitely lost a step throughout the year. And in terms of contracts in the offseason, I really don't know if I honestly want him back at this point. I love Saquon, but you don't build around a running back in this league. You build around like a run scheme and O-line. And I think that's where we should allocate our money, unless he wants to come back on a cheap deal.
Wow. Spallone, no offense, but the rest of your offense literally could be doing what you said the cornerback should be doing.
Yeah, but what has Saquon Barkley done the last 4 to 5 weeks? I mean, he's been basically non-existent out there. If I'm being honest with you.
I listen. I'm not saying that I disagree with you, but you guys are the ones who took him at second overall, and you guys are the ones who decided to build your team around him, and you guys are the ones who kind of have to live with it now. It's like you took him second overall, now you're not going to keep him at all. Like that would be really bad. I mean, that would just be an awful. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that you should commit to a running back long term because you shouldn't. But I mean, you wouldn't do a 2-year deal. You wouldn't try and do a 3-year deal.
I would definitely try and keep him back because he's obviously a great guy and he loves New York and everything. But if he's going to ask for 16 million, which is near what CMC got, instead of asking for like 11 or 12, then I'm not giving him 16 million, especially with the amount of needs the Giants have. And I mean, look at the free agency market for running backs. If the Giants, and I'm not saying the Giants will do this, they obviously won't, but I'm saying the Giants go out and get Tony Pollard for a cheap deal. And
what makes you think that Tony Pollard is going to be any cheaper than Saquon Barkley?
Well, I think he'd definitely be cheaper. Saquon would be asking for a lot more money than Pollard would be.
I think a lot of those running backs who are all free agents this year are probably going to be asking for around the same amount. I don't think. Listen,
it's a big class.
Yeah, it is a big class. There's Sanders, there's Josh Jacobs. I mean, Jeff, what do you think? I mean, how much would you keep Miles Sanders for if you would keep him at all? Because he's in a very similar situation to Saquon, where he's going to be available, right? But at the same time, too, he is also not the complete focus of your team like the Giants are. But what do you think is like a realistic number for a running back nowadays? I would think maybe around 8, right?
Yeah, I would say maybe 10. I don't know.
Yeah, 8 to 10, I think would be realistic, right, Spawn? Or you wouldn't even go that high.
You're talking about Miles Sanders?
I'm just talking about running backs in general.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd go as high as like 12 million.
All right, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But like something like Sanders, I'd probably go up like 8 to 10, like you said.
I mean, the flip side of that is Spallone too. You have teams like we've seen the Jets. They have Zonovan Knight, right? Like what Bob just told us how great of a player he is, and he has been performing pretty well. And they got him off the street, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at running back highlights like the Niners, they're the best example of how you want to build your running game around. It's a strong line that was drafted well and spent a little bit in free agency, and it's just a system running back, and it's all a system. It doesn't matter what running back you plug into that San Francisco system; they all can run the football. I mean, not CNC obviously, so that kind of voids the point. But I'm saying their system is great throughout the years. So
Yeah,
build around.
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. All right, Spillane, I feel like we've talked a lot of football today, so I really want to sneak in a baseball question. But I'm going to start with Jeffrey here. Jeffrey, what are your thoughts on the Yankees signing Carlos Rodon and now having a pitching rotation that involves Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez Jr., Carlos Rodon, Luis Severino, and I guess Montas at the 5.
I mean, yeah, my short answer is that it's loaded. It's a loaded rotation. I think it's great to get a lefty in there to kind of, I don't know, break it up a little bit. But I think Rodon is a great signing because remember when he is a lefty, he's coming off a pretty good year with San Francisco. And I feel like he's just a rock solid starter. I feel like he's not like a Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, Jacob deGrom guy, but he's not like a terrible starter where he's going to go out there and give up 4 or 5 runs every game. He's going to be a solid guy who's probably going to give up, I don't know, 2 to 3 runs every game. His ERA is probably going to be somewhere in the 3 range. And I just think he's a proven guy, and I'm glad that the Yankees paid him because I think he's going to be worth probably almost every penny of it. And I think it's a good signing for them because they definitely had a void to fill, and they filled it.
All right, Spallone, I'll welcome some thoughts from you.
Yeah, I was really pumped to see that deal yesterday because, Cashman and Houseman are kind of promised Judge that they would be, after they re-sign him, they're going to build and get a few more guys. So that was big to get him. He's definitely the best pitcher left on the market. I think the Yankees rotation now, some people are saying it's the best rotation in baseball. I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah, I pumped the brakes on that.
Yeah, let's pump the brakes on that.
Because we're a Montas bad day and 1 injury away from being mediocre again.
100%. And I would go as far as to say it's a very deep rotation. It's probably the deepest rotation in baseball because you have Montas at the 5. And when we got him last year at the deadline, I would put him in the range of 2 or 3. When he's on, he's like a 2 or a 3, a very good 2 or 3. So it's a very deep rotation that has to be done. And he has great numbers, Rodon, against Houston. He has like a 1.55 ERA, I think, career against Houston, which is the team that we clearly struggle with every year in the postseason. So that's big. I'm hoping they can stay healthy. But the Yankees offseason is far from over. I mean, they need to get a left fielder. They need to either re-sign Benintendi or trade for one. And they need to add a little bit to their bullpen, I think, still.
Well, and you hit the nail right on the head. Those are all things that I agree with. I think getting Benintendi and adding like maybe one key bullpen piece and maybe like one other guy that we can like another diamond in the rough that we always seem to find. I really wouldn't mind that. I think that would put us in a really good spot. So I definitely agree with a lot of what you said. Jeffrey, anything else you would like to add to the Yankees Rodon signing situation?
I just think it's huge because the Astros are probably that one team that you're probably looking up to in the AL, and they lost Verlander, so it's not like they really replaced him. I don't know if they signed a pitcher.
No, I'm sure they'll have some guy who just comes out of like some secret lab or something.
Like a Framber Valdez or a
probably.
Christian
No,
Javier.
they'll just have the next, like, I don't know, Nolan Ryan just come over there. Probably.
I would say I'm happy that they lost Verlander, but to be honest, when you look at it, it doesn't matter because the Yankees didn't touch Christian Javier last year. They didn't touch Framber Valdez. They didn't touch Lance McCullers. So those are their 1, 2, 3 right now. If the Yankees aren't hitting those guys, it's not going to matter.
Right. I guess it's just good to get maybe a slight leg up on the competition because if you're looking at them, that's the team that you're probably going to have to beat. And there could be some other teams that, I don't know, come out of nowhere and are contenders. But I feel like that's the one team that's always in the way.
Plus, it doesn't help that they have Jeremy Pena now, who is the newest Yankee killer.
They also got Jose Abreu, which I kind of forgot about. That's like a decent pickup, too.
They do have Jose Abreu. All right. Spallone, any last thoughts here before the conclusion of this phone call?
Nothing much. I'm excited for a good weekend of games. Cody, I just wanted to hear maybe your prediction on we have the Cardinals facing off against the Broncos this week, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, we do have that game.
Is that going to be Ripien versus the Cardinals?
No. Russ was practicing yesterday. He was participating. Looks like he's working his way through the concussion protocol, and he hypothetically should play. So.
All right, can we get a score prediction here?
9-3. Hashtag let 9-3 Broncos win. Hashtag let Russ cook. Yep. All right. There it is. That's the Broncos score prediction of the week. All right. So we have a couple more games that I want to mention because they're big games and they involve some big players and I want to talk about them. So we're going to just run through them really quickly. Jeff, let's start with the Titans and Chargers. That's a sneaky big game, right? For the NFC or for the AFC playoff picture because the Titans, if they lose, they're going to be 7-7, and I don't know if there's anybody that can catch them, but they're just going to be taken more lightly as a potential playoff.
And that 5 seed's going to be very coveted in the AFC.
And whoever's in that 5 seed will be really happy. And as for the Chargers, they need this because they're in that wild card race. So, what are your thoughts on Titans Chargers this week? The Chargers are, of course, at home and are 3-point favorites.
I think this is a game the Chargers should win.
Yeah.
I think they're just better on paper. And I think Herbert last week, he was really slinging it everywhere. I think he's gaining some confidence. And I just like him more than Tannehill if you're looking at the QB matchup. And I don't know, the Tennessee offense just doesn't really excite me in many ways. So I just don't know if they have the firepower to keep up with the Chargers. So I think just the offensive firepower and potential that the Chargers have, I just think that's the reason why I would take them. But it's a big game for both teams because I don't know, by chance Jacksonville somehow wins against the Cowboys and the Titans lose. It's only one game there. So the Titans are definitely kind of feeling a little sense of urgency, but so are the Chargers because they're right in that wild card race. So this is a game that both teams really would love to have.
Yeah, so when I look at these two teams, I look at what the Titans do well. Run the ball. There's no question. That's what the strength of their team is. They're going to give it to Derrick Henry, and he's going to try and do his thing. Last week, they had some turnovers. Ugly game. The Chargers, I look at their defense specifically. What are they not good at? They're not good at stopping the run at all. That's really an area that they struggle. No, they did a good job against the pass last week, and I do have some hope for their defense. But at the same time, I really question how they're going to stop Derrick Henry because that guy's a beast. You know that. He is a beast. And he did have a really good first half before completely falling off in that second half last week. So the more and more I look at that game, the more and more I think to myself, if they play like they did in the first half when they run the ball, they're going to have a really good chance against the Chargers.
And they got to get out to a lead, the Titans. I think that's the other thing. If they're leading the game, whether it's by 3, 7, 10, 14, they're going to be in a good spot. But if they're down 7, 14 points in the second half and they're forced to throw a little more, I think that's a recipe for disaster because it kind of takes away their best player. They can't really use them as much as they would like to. So I think the key for them is to start fast.
And also, I think a huge part of this game is the injuries that both teams have, specifically for the Chargers on their D-line. They don't have Sebastian Joseph Day. They didn't have him last game, and it's questionable whether or not he'll play. The same thing can be said for Derwin James, right? Those are two guys who are huge for them, especially in the run game, because Derwin James puts himself in the box a lot and makes plays in the run game.
Yeah, you can fly around all over the field.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's like a Swiss Army knife.
if he's not playing, that's a real area of concern. But also at the same time, for Tennessee, Jeffrey Simmons, he's been questionable. Treylon Burks also been questionable. So we'll have to see what they're doing because let's face it, their receivers are not great. Treylon Burks is probably their best receiver. And if they don't have him, that's going to just put the offense in a worse place than it already was in. So I think the injuries are ultimately the big story here. We'll have to see basically who plays. I think that'll give you a better determination. But if you ask me, if all those guys that I just named who are all questionable are playing, I think I would take the Titans. I think it's going to be a close game, and the Titans kind of couldn't. When you count them out, that's when they come back in, right? That's the Titans' way. Anything else you'd like to add on that game?
No, I just think whoever wins is going to put themselves in a good position to either win their division or get a wild card spot.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. All right, so then let's talk about the game in Tampa. We got the Bengals going off against the Bucs. I've said this before: the Bucs are just garbage, and it's a 3.5-point line with the Bengals being on the road, which I'm almost a bit surprised with. But at the same time, this Bengals team is cooking. I don't expect any more cooking from them this week.
Yeah, I did too. I think Tampa Bay is a team that they've been in disarray all year, but it's a team you can't really take lightly either because, if they're clicking, they could be pretty good. But yeah, I just look for Burrow to continue to do his thing. And I think the key, like you've always been saying the last few weeks about the Bengals, they got to get Mixon and P. Ryan and the running game involved. And I think that can really open up the outside receivers with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and the others. And I think they can mix and match that, and defense kind of just plays pretty good. I think they'll have a chance because Tampa Bay, they could use this game too, so they're going to kind of bring it too. They're in a fight for first place.
Yeah, I agree with you completely there, Jeffrey. This is definitely a game the Bucs need for first because they're competing against the Panthers. We're going against the Steelers. This isn't the only game I want to mention, but I'm just mentioning it now because we're talking about it. But listen, Steelers are 5-8. They had that really rough game last week. I thought it was a game they could have won. I wouldn't count them out against the Carolina Panthers at all. I definitely think this is a game the Steelers can win. So if the Bucs somehow do lose, they might be okay because Carolina has a very tough opponent as well. Two really good defenses in that one. So.
Yeah, the only thing with Pittsburgh is, do we know who's going to be starting at QB?
No, we don't.
So that's kind of up in the air because Pickett, I believe, is doubtful.
Yeah, he's doubtful. But
so I guess do they go to Trubisky again? But I saw something that was interesting. I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Deontay Johnson, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I think he actually called for Mason Rudolph to start. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
A little bit of an eye raiser.
Yeah. Well, he was terrible next year. He was just absolutely awful.
Yeah, we talked about on the
performance
Monday
was
show
just
how
so
Pickett wasn't
bad.
really turning the ball over recently, and then Trubisky comes in and throws, I think, 3 picks.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. It's just a nightmare. He's not a good quarterback. So, Jeff, really quickly, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but the last thing I want to talk about in the football world is Eagles Bears this weekend. Just give us quick little thoughts. I know the Eagles are 12-1 and the Bears are 3-10, but if there's anything you want to throw out about this game, floor is yours.
I guess the main thing I'm looking for is, I guess, not to slip up, but more specifically, Justin Fields on the ground, I think is going to be a huge challenge because we've seen him run around against pretty much every team that he's played. He can really just run whenever he wants. And then when he gets out of the pocket, you don't really know where he's going to go because he could try to burst forward. He could try to juke some people. But I think he's going to be a very tough matchup for the Eagles because I feel like they haven't really dealt with a lot of mobile quarterbacks, I don't know, in this recent stretch. So I think this is going to be a key game where they have to just take care of business because this is a team they should really beat. I mean, this is a 3-10 Bears team, but I don't know. They say every any given Sunday, which is true. So I think this is a game that the Eagles cannot look past because they know they have that Dallas game coming up on Christmas Eve, which is going to be massive, but they cannot afford to lose a very, very, very winnable game like this. But I think the main concern for the Eagles is can they stop Justin Fields on the ground? We know we can kind of do some things through the air, but I think on the ground is we can really do a lot of damage. So that's going to be a key.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because my mom is texting me because an iPad has just been sent to our house and we have no idea why, who ordered it. I have no idea why, but there's just a random, nobody's ordered it, but it just magically appeared. It has our name on it. I have no idea.
Wow.
Weird world.
An early
Weird.
Christmas gift, I guess.
Very bizarre. So if you see Jimmy Cody with a new iPad, that's where it came from. But probably not. I'm sure.
Good to know.
I'm sure it'll be just sent back to wherever. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. All right. Last thing I want to comment on is the Steph Curry injury. Obviously he's gonna be out a couple weeks. Big loss for the Warriors in that aspect. Jeff, you're the NBA guy, so if you want to give us a quick NBA synopsis of the league right now, floor is absolutely yours.
Sure. I guess I'll try to do a little elevator pitch here, but yeah, Steph Curry, he injured his shoulder on Wednesday in Indiana, so he will be out a few weeks. And for the Warriors, it's very obviously not good news at all because he's their best player and he's arguably the best player in the NBA. He's definitely top 3, top 5 player, wherever you want to put him. But it's a big loss because he's the guy that kind of makes everything go with the Warriors. He's the #1 scorer and all that. But Jimmy, I don't know if you know this, but they're 2-13 on the road this year. The Warriors, they're 2-13.
Really?
And for the defending champs, that's horrible. And they're right now in the middle of an East Coast trip where they're in Philly tonight, and then they play in Toronto and then the New York team, so it doesn't get much easier for them. But I don't know if they can tread water around 500, best case scenario, they get him back, Steph Curry, and then they kind of get into the swing of things. I think that's the only option they can really go with because they're kind of around that play-in territory right now, and I didn't really expect them to be there, but they're just not clicking. The Warriors, that is. I just felt like I don't know whether it's Klay Thompson, Draymond Green missing games, now Curry gonna be out. I just feel like they haven't really clicked on all cylinders. But as far as the synopsis goes, I think in the East it's clear that the 2 best teams are the Celtics and the Bucks. It's kind of the 2 of them at the top, and everyone else is kind of behind them. Not too far behind, but I think pretty far behind. I mean, those 2 teams have really asserted themselves. And then in the West, there's just a lot of surprises out there. I didn't think you would see the Pelicans as the #1 seed right now, but they are the #1 seed. And then there's other teams who are kind of in that same playing field as the Pelicans. Talk about the Grizzlies, the Suns, the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Mavs. I think that's a group of teams that I don't know. You match them up with the others in the playoffs. There could be some really good series, but yeah, I feel like the East is very top heavy. The West is too. It's more of an even playing field. But yeah, I guess that's the little synopsis for the league right now. And then obviously the Christmas Day games coming up. I think that's kind of when people actually start to pay attention. But there's also NFL games, so
yeah, that's true.
they're kind of trying to steal that spotlight. And the bowl games.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones, and unfortunately, this is going to be our last show for this semester. So, thank you to everybody who has listened. Thank you to everybody who has called in. We've had so many of our friends and friends of the program really call in, and it's a fun time.
And listen to.
Yeah, and yeah, I said the listeners, but yeah.
Yes, you did. Sorry.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, this is the last one. I don't know. The last semester is the last dance, Jeff.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of people on in the spring, that's for sure. We'll have a lot of different perspectives, but
yeah, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It'll be different without football, I think, for the majority of it, but we'll have some
We'll
football
have
to
the
start.
NFL till about the second week of February, and then my hope is too we can get some more loyal basketball talk on here. I'm sure you know who, Mr. Jack McCormick is going to be just waiting to get on. He's been, bugging me for a little bit now to come on, and I do want to have him on because he's certainly very passionate about Loyola basketball, so that's for sure. Everybody, if you want to come on the show, please just let us know. We would love to have you on, everybody. So as
The
far as
DMs are always open.
yeah, the DMs are always open. So as far as that goes, I guess that's the conclusion of After the Whistle this season.
Yeah, for an abbreviated season. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be back though in the spring. I believe the first show will be January 20th. So
All right.
we'll look forward to that. But
There's so much
yeah.
that's gonna happen between now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait till we just come back with you know what we should do? Maybe in honor of last year we had that debacle, maybe we should have another like Tannehill Garoppolo debate like last year. Maybe we can have all those same people on, have another dumpster fire.
Yeah, that'd be something.
All right, well, I guess that's it for today.
Yeah, everyone have a great holiday break. Happy holidays to everyone out there. And we will see you in the new year. Stay tuned for some more After the Whistle.